Welcome back. This is the Daily Brief. We're now crossing over to a high-level security meeting in which the top security officials, including the cabinet secretary in that particular ministry, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, as well as the PS in that ministry, that is Karanja Kibichu, who is actually speaking, are addressing county commissioners. Let's just listen into some of the deliberations happening right now.
Address the meeting. So thank you very much.
The Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of Interior, Coordination of National Government, the PS, the CAS, our host, Director of the Kenya School of Government, the secretaries in the Ministry of Interior for National Government and for Security, the DIGs, the RCs, county commissioners, county commanders. I reckon the presence of the fourth estate. Good morning, everyone. I plan with the concurrence of here to take just a few minutes to speak about what has become quite topical in the media lately, and that is the instructions issued by His Excellency the President to the CAs and myself that we take another look at the way we are structured in the police and matters of housing. And that we are required to report back within 30 days, that is on or before the 17th of next month. So I intend to just make a few remarks about that matter as to what we plan to do pursuant to those instructions issued by the Secretary of the President. And on those two areas, matters of the way you're organized and matters of police housing. Now, in sum, the objective of what we want to do is to make the police much more efficient in the way it delivers on its mandate, much more effective, and makes rational utilization of available resources in its entirety. And what I want to emphasize and underscore is that contrary to what has appeared in sections of the media, that APS is going to be scrapped, I want to say that is not true, because that will be unconstitutional, and we cannot do that at all. And what we are working on is a continuation of the security sector reforms that commenced close to 15 years ago, and I don't intend to take you down the path of history because you all know, we know the recommendations made by Waki, the recommendations made by Ransley, and what was further refined by Naikuni and his team. So the intention is to create a much more robust, a much more effective general duty police, a much more agile, much more effective, much more responsive, border police, an equally much more effective unit that
Inspector General of Police addressing a gathering at the Kenya School of Government on matters state of security, speaking to a number of county commissioners. But even as we continue to follow that, let's now cross over for a briefing by Caleb Rotemo, who was attending the Senate Committee's grilling on Education Cabinet Secretary Ambassador Amina Mohammed in regards to the Ruaraka land saga, in which 2 government schools have been settled upon, yet an individual claims that this land is actually theirs. Let's just get more details about this. Caleb Rotemo, what exactly went down and what are some of the responses by the Cabinet Secretary?
Actually, Ian, as you rightly put it, Amina Mohammed, Education CS, was here before the County Public Affairs and Investment Committee, of course, of the Senate, trying to look at the issue surrounding the Ruaraka land saga that has been touted, or rather said, to have been running the media in the recent past. Remember that according to Amina, the National Land Commission initiated the process of acquisition of the land, and Ruaraka, of the Ruaraka primary and the drive-in, in what is expected to have been that process that was not really followed in terms of the due diligence. Remember, 1.5 billion shillings had already been paid, and up to a tune of 1.7 billion shillings a balance. But just before that, the question was, what was the acreage of the same, even as the committee comes to realize that it is up to a tune of more than 60 million Kenyan shillings that was in excess. She has also told the committee that she will be providing a list, or rather a report of a list of land ownership of public schools across the country in order to ensure that some of these occurrences do not, maybe are not witnessed in the near future. There is also an argument by the committee that the payments were not an emergency, and so therefore there was no need even for the budget to be set for the same. So it's an issue of land ownership, and of course nothing really that new, but also, following the due process of the committee that is going for about a week or two to bring its report back to the Senate, even as they debate it and get the way forward on this unending Ruaraka land saga. Ian?
Okay, thank you very much for that. And of course, perhaps putting to notice, or rather publishing the list of land owned by schools will be a step in the right direction in terms of preventing school land grabbing. Let me just hear from Justice all the way to Dennis. And of course, we can still connect this to the very same issue that is the Mao forest, because it is all to do with protecting our public land. Justice.
Yes, I appreciate the measures being taken by the security, Inspector General and security in general. Actually, they've done quite a bit right now. There's a bit of calmness in terms of terrorism attack, and they've managed a little bit. Though there's still a lot of serious extrajudicial killing that are still going unreported, okay. Deaths that are taking place in the hands of the police that have never been prosecuted. And there's a lot of issues still surrounding the police with the corruption.
Let's come back to the issue of land, Justice, because of time.
Well, on the matter of land, which is still...
Amina says she'll publish, the schools and the land they own, just in a bid to end land grab.
Which is a good measure, actually, to render solutions to the current crisis, because we've seen a lot of land grabbing. I'm not talking about the Western one only, but there have been series of land grabbing, especially the school land grabbing. And if one can come to address, and you see the issues that are affecting even the Mau that you're talking about. He mentioned about 4,000 acres, which was to be returned back. And who owns those lands? You'll realize probably the very senior persons in the government who have also set up tea farming estates, and then they are the ones who own these huge chunks of lands. So if police can also come in, and I appreciate what DCI is doing, if they can come in handy and address, because we know these individuals who are scrupulous, we know them, and the syndicate, because some of them who should be protecting the forest are the ones who are colluding with even the charcoal burners, the illegal loggers. You've seen even the police lorries, the GOK vehicles, being caught on the road, transporting what? The illegal timber. And if we can move into space, with swiftness and address those sources of individual, the sources of the persons who are destroying the Mau, then yes, we will be talking about a solution. Over and above, I think some of them have taken, some politicians have escalated it to another different level. I heard what Murkomen was alluding to, and actually it is very dangerous to play politics, especially with the issue of water catchment area, which is a lifeline for our future generation.
Thank you.
So if we can come in and address, and people like Murkomen, there are certain measures that also should be taken to such leaders, so that they are that impunity of utterances.
That they will decide whether to summon him or not to answer some of the questions. Then just a quick one on putting an end to land grab. And we're referring to instances of the Ruaraka land saga as well as that of the Mau forest.
Well, for me, I think, first of all, knowing very well that land is an emotive issue, we really have to come up with the truth in this matter, because this is not the first time we are hearing about, especially land belonging to schools being grabbed. But you see, in the case of Ruaraka, we actually don't know the exact truth in it, because we have Francis Mburu who is saying the land was his, initially 96 acres. He has sold portion by portion to the government. And the government, on the other hand, through the Nairobi governor, is saying that this land initially was public land. So first things, we need to realize the truth in this matter for us to have a very amenable solution to it. However, in the corruption that has bedeviled the Ministry of Lands and matters in transactions of lands is what is leading to such. Because when you look critically, the other day we saw the Director of Public Prosecution, the EACC, publish names, and you see cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries have been mentioned in this list. That just tells you how individuals are also involved in this, and that's the reason why we cannot really find a correct solution to it.
Dennis and then Michael, just very quick comments, kindly, because we need to cross over to another press briefing.
Yeah, land in this country is one of the things that we'll never get to know the truth about it. And I think we need to get a bit radical. I think one of the things we need to do is revoke all title deeds in this country and issue them afresh, especially those ones in critical areas. To date, lands of schools in Kenya have never been gazetted. And I believe that a lot of those schools that are currently running as schools today, somebody has a title deed and claiming ownership of it and perhaps accessed loans and thereabout. If you look at the Mau bit, is that the cabinet actually allocated 37 billion shillings. It says actually the exercise is estimated to cost 37 billion, which is to be raised from government budget to see that exercise run to fruitfulness. Was that 37 billion raised? How come the settlements were not done? Bona fide people, settled and all that. So you can see that we are doing things so that we can harvest money at the end of the day. The recommendations were never done at the end of the day. The 4,000 hectares that were, that were cut off, who owns, whose title deeds has that name thereabout. So the issue of land in this country, we tend to say that it's emotive. It's not emotive. Okay. At the end of the day, it is the most fraudulent sector in this country, and that's where we need to go to and look at it.
Michael, you have a final word on this?
A final word, three things.
Yeah.
Why do you think that Kenya cannot digitalize our land? Because they know that land is emotive and they're benefiting from it. Rwanda has done it. Rwanda is a very young country compared to Kenya, even in terms of GDP. Number two is Ambassador Amina Mohamed is definitely playing PR with the Senate committee, knowing very well that in my own backyard in Wachara, they've never seen a title deed. And therefore, when he says that the schools, he will be able to present title deeds for the schools, it is practically impossible because many parts of this country, even adjudication alone has not been done. Okay. And number three is because land is supposed to be devolved. So long as you still have people at Aldi House deciding on land that is in Wajir or Kakamega or those places, land will still be stolen. And for that reason, we are not solving the problem. If you're devolving land, let the locals own the land and decide whose land does it belong to, but not a guy who is sitting in Nairobi who draws it and issues a title deed.
Thank you, Michael. Now we're crossing over to the Kenya School of Government, where Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i is addressing a gathering of county commissioners in the midst of top security officials from his ministry as well. Let's listen in.
Base upon which we implement government activities and government programs. We truly appreciate you, and I am very grateful for the opportunity to work with you people. I have had occasion to be in the field between the time we met last time and now. I have made several field visits, had an opportunity to sit down with some of you in your places of work, your jurisdictions, and seen how you put groups of our people together, how you work with our leaders to ensure that we bring about peace and understanding amongst our people so that we can move forward our country. I am very grateful to you. And I congratulate you, especially those of you who have been promoted recently. The new county commissioners who are here. I came into the room and I wanted to see Ogola. Then I was told he's here, our new county commissioner in Kirinyaga. A brand new county commissioner. I met him, when he was acting county commissioner in Machakos, when Matilda had just been promoted. And something common about all of you is what I see in Ogola, for example: energy, enthusiasm, focus, and commitment to serve. So we thank you, and we want you to know that as you are in the field, we in the headquarters in Harambee House, we not only watch your back, but we think about your welfare, and we want to support you as you move forward. And we thank our president because he has recognized our sector. In the recent appointments, about 5 of them came from our sector. Our former Director General Immigration Services is now PS General Kihalango. PS in charge of immigration, and I hope you'll find time to be here this morning. Mr. Joseph Irungu is a PS. He has been Principal Administrative Secretary in our ministry. Matilda is our brand new Director at NYS, a former County Commissioner in Machakos. Nelson Marwa, our immediate former Regional Commissioner in Coast, is the PS. And Mr. Wanyama Musiambu, our immediate former Regional Commissioner in Rift Valley, is now the Deputy Head of Public Service. And we have a brand new appointment again by the President of Mr. Saleh, who is the new Secretary in charge of reforms. Which means that your work, your hard work and commitment gets noticed. And because of the contribution that you continue to make, our country is all the better, and we are doing well. I want to start, first of all, by passing to you a message from the President. The President instructed me to tell you this. One, that he very sincerely appreciates the work that you do. And the President asked me to tell you he is satisfied with the manner in which our country is settling down after elections and the work that you are doing to settle our country down to move forward. His Excellency, the President, instructed me to assure you of his personal support and that of his office and the entire government for the work that you do. I'll talk a little more about this down my remarks, but I want to say this at this point. My brothers and sisters, we have been given a job to do for our people, and God has afforded us this opportunity. We have a great country. We are public servants. We are not politicians. We serve objectively, we serve firmly, and we ensure that the work we do is above board. I want to urge you, all of you, my colleagues in the field, to stay focused and committed to serving our people, delivering security and safety for our people. Look neither to the right nor to the left. Focus on the work that we are supposed to do. And do not be intimidated by anybody. First of all, you are Kenyan citizens who have been given a job to do on behalf of our president. And with the solid support from the Commander-in-Chief, you have no excuse but to deliver and continue to do the work the president has asked you to do. And the instructions flow the way they do, the normal order of government infrastructure. We will support you as you move forward in the work that you do. And lastly, His Excellency, the President instructed me to say what already has been alluded to by the PS, that effective this year, he will begin having a presidential national security conference, and he'll have one in the month of August. And during that, we've made sufficient preparations, including what my colleague PS Kibicho said. We'll get your views, we'll compile a report. We're going to prepare ourselves effectively for the President's National Security Conference, at which the President wants to sit down with you, take feedback from you on what we are doing right and what we need to improve and how better we need to deploy the resources we have to support our country as we move forward. So I sincerely thank all of you. Between the time we met last time and now, a lot has happened. We've successfully sorted out the problem of Mount Elgon. I am very grateful to our sister, the Regional Commissioner, and the entire team.
We'll cross over there once again at the Kenya School of Government to just listen to sentiments coming from that as the Interior Cabinet Secretary and the entire security team meet to discuss about the state of security. In the meantime, the Mau Forest continues to be of concern. Speaking right now to the media is Kericho Senator Aaron Cheriot on the very same issue. Let's listen in.
People alike are astounded that the very spot on which our president stood a few months ago campaigning for Raphael Tuju owes the good Kenyans living in Mau Narok an apology for appearing to sanitize what is obviously a gross violation of human rights. The officers who committed women and children of Mau Narok must be brought to
seem to have lost that, but at least, gentlemen, as your final word, we got a bit of what he's saying. Seemingly siding with Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, Aaron Cheriot says that following the statement by Jubilee Secretary General Raphael Tuju, that he should indeed apologize to the people of Narok who have been affected by the eviction in what he cites as gross violation of human rights. Gentlemen, each of you has under 30 seconds. Kindly, Justice, I'll start with you.
Well, the politicization of this problem actually is not helpful at all.
Yeah.
And such remarks coming from Jubilee side of government actually undermines the government's effort to foster the development agendas that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because the government, this was the president has given certain directive in specific direction. If they are his own members, and I think this brings out the probably, I don't know whether this is the beginning of the death of Jubilee, because if Jubilee is this divided, you wonder how this side will make amend for them to function together. But this, to me, is a show of a house that is divided, And they need to really speak from one tone and need to come together and address this as one.
Dennis, the statement by Raphael Tuju yesterday cited Murkomen's sentiments as his own, while of course he stated that Jubilee Party's position is that the eviction process has to continue as part of government's agenda.
Yeah, I think we need to realize that Murkomen, the fact that he's completely untamable is his own person and his words are his own. And it doesn't in any way preclude an implosion in Jubilee. And the fact that the cabinet already recommended what needs to be done within Mau, I think that is what needs to be done. And it also stated that the fact that revocation of titles needs to be done and compensation needs to be done. Okay. So I think that's clear from a government point of view. The words of Murkomen are careless and are his own and are not representative of the government at all.
Okay, thank you. Danny, and then we finish with Michael.
Well, for me, I think it's not rocket science to realize that what Cheruiyot and Senator Murkomen are saying, it's all about politics. Of course, we know that they speak on behalf of someone, and of course, once we politicize this issue, we are not going to get a solution to it. And of course, in regards to violation of human rights, in case such a thing was meant to happen, and of course it's happening, definitely we have an instance where human rights are going to be violated. And of course, we do appreciate even the provisions of the Constitution. Some of the rights are not absolute, so they are limitative, and of course, such a thing will happen. Human rights will be violated, but for the good of the country.
Michael, you're finishing for us. Kindly respond to Aaron Cheruiyot.
The Mau appreciate that we need to conserve our water towers.
Okay, we do apologize for that.
I want to disagree with my friend Dennis.
Okay.
That the words of Kipchumba Murkomen are his own and not the government. Kipchumba Murkomen actually is the leader of majority, is the government. And therefore, we are talking about a government that the left doesn't seem to know what the right is doing, and the government that is fighting itself. Hold on. You had your chance. This is my chance. Don't speak on my behalf. I'll talk.
Okay, go to your point, Michael.
What I'm saying is very simple, that we are having a government which is Jubilee literally fighting amongst itself. We have group from the DP side and group from the president side, and they seem just not to. What Kericho Senator is doing here is exactly what Murkomen did, and it's like they were together in Mau, and therefore what they're saying is, look,
which means that according to this particular statement,
we do not accept what is happening, while on the other hand, the deputy president is saying that this has to continue. So it's about just flip-flopping.
And what will be the end result, Michael, especially with the agenda here being saving the Mau?
You know, Aaron Cheruiyot should not accuse Jubilee Secretary General. He's an executive and he's speaking on behalf of the executive. And yesterday, if you saw what Kipchumba Murkomen was saying on KTN TV on an interview yesterday, he said that actually Tuju is right. And therefore, it's just that he was not able to own up why he was saying all this stuff, and he was not able to come out and say, I apologize to the nation.
Thank you very much. I've been speaking to Justice Juma, Michael Agwanda, Denny Okato, as well as Dennis Nthumbi. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. We're now taking a short commercial break, after which we shall definitely continue following developing stories, as you also listen in to educationists as they tell us about school unrest, given that, like I'd mentioned to you, and of course, Ruaraka Karama has confirmed that a number of students within the Nyanza region have actually been arraigned in connection to the schools unrest and cases of arson. The latest entrant into that particular group being the Highway Secondary School, where we saw parts of the dormitories being torched last night. We shall keep you up to speed about that. Stay tuned.